Thank you. I said I needed to make an effort.
Well, you know what? I should have made a better effort, but girl, I've had a mad day. But you know me, I'm just the way I am. This is just me.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to invite my followers again on Facebook, and we're going to do this because the beautiful thing about this is it's going to be live and it's going to go onto YouTube and everywhere. So whenever you are ready, Master Lady, I am ready as well.
Good. So
Good.
I'm just trying to put some bits on Facebook. So it's just kind of blocked me out.
Oh, I love the hair. Ooh, Queen of Sheba. Love it.
Okay, guys, you have to bear with us. We're just trying to get this done.
We're black virgins. She doesn't want to use the word. We are blab virgins.
Okay. All right, Ava, let's do this.
Let's do this. Come on.
How are you?
I am fantabulous. You know what? Fantabulous. Ooh, all over. I'm fantabulous. How are you?
I'm good. I've been talking about this all day.
I'm like, no, this is not gonna happen. We're gonna do this, right?
We are gonna do this. Okay, let's get professional. So let's tell our listeners, who is Ava Brown?
Oh, apart from your sister, that is. Like the sister from another mother. I'm Ava Brown. Thank you, Magdalena. First of all, thank you so much for hosting me tonight. You look beautiful as ever and very, juge de je ne sais quoi. I'm Ava Brown. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a transformational coach, and I'm a writing coach, more importantly, which is what we're focusing on tonight. I'm a mother. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. To many people. That's who I am in a nutshell.
That's good. And so the topic of today is being able to attract the media through writing a book.
Yeah, and improve.
We're going to look at
influence and impact, which is amazing.
Yes. So what I'm going to look at it from two angles. This first angle is obviously for those who've actually written the book. Yeah. And then the other angle is for those who haven't written the book. So they probably believe that, oh yes, we have a book. There's a book inside of me and I need to write. Obviously, I need to write a book. So let's first of all tackle those who've written a book. But before we go into that aspect of things, what I would like to know is how many books have you yourself written?
So personally, I have written 4 books. I've published 3. As a matter of fact, I've written 5. I've published 3, with the other 2 not yet published because I am doing a new strategy. And so I've got on the market, I'm going to drop them into the chat. I've got Bamboo and Fern, and that is I call that my signature book. And I have the music, and that is about my life, my journey. I've got the musing and thoughts of Ava Brown, which is my personal thoughts, feelings, and conversations. And then I've written a book that's only 99p actually on Amazon. It's actually on a promotion at the moment. And it's 30 steps that I found that I could implement very easily to live a more fulfilled life. So those are the 3 books that I've written by myself. In terms of collaborative book, I have written 1 book that is called Born for This Journey. So it's basically a book that looks at failures and successes of various people across the continents. And that book came out last year. But apart from that, I have actually done quite a lot of books with a lot of authors. So last year I did 8 books. And the most recent one, I just came back from Florida 3 weeks ago. And on the 27th of February, one of my clients is launching her book in Birmingham. So really exciting times.
Wow. So there's a lot going on already.
As a matter of fact, after this interview with you, I'm on radio in the US talking about my book.
Okay. So let's really get on to that book. Obviously, you just mentioned that you're going to be on an interview in the US. So how many global interviews have you had? And did you find that, how did you get those opening in a sense? Was it through your book or was it other work that you do?
Do you know what? That's a great question. And I get asked that a lot. Until I published my book, nobody knew my name. I mean, nobody knew who I was. And all the things I do know, I think, in a lot of respect, I had those skills, but nobody knew them until my book came out. So the book has really been a door opener. Yes.
Your first
Bamboo
book,
and Fern, yes. Okay. So until Bamboo and Fern came out, nobody knew my name. I was just an ordinary girl walking around London, you know, just being ordinary. And Bamboo and Fern, I have had to date about 48 global interviews in less than a year. And counting. I'm going to be out in magazines in the US this month. I have some big news for the UK. I can't release it yet because it's coming out this week, but my book has landed me some crazy places. And it's just opened so many doors globally. I mean, I got a tweet this week from somebody from the Real, you know, the Real, the American talk show. I'm private messaging people on the Real, girlfriend. I'm like, whoa, that sounds nice.
That's good. That's
good. And talking to major US magazines and stuff. Yeah.
So I just want to backtrack a bit because obviously I know you and I know your story, but some people out there who do not know your story. So especially for those, because I said I was going to take it from two different angles, especially for those who have gone through similar journey like yourself with what you went through in a sense of your personal story, but are saying, no, that's my thing. I'm having to deal with it. I don't want to put it in a book. First question, what triggered you to actually sit down to begin to write? Was it therapeutic? Was it what? Yeah, I'm not going to put any answers in your mouth. I want you to answer that. Second of all, for somebody listening, I just want to lump some them together. For someone listening who has gone through what you went through, so obviously you're going to tell us again the issues you went through. For someone listening who has gone through something you went through, or probably going through what you've gone through, and never actually thinking of writing a book, what would you say to them? Because I know we're talking about obviously magnetizing the media and utilizing the media to kind of promote ourselves, but you have to be strong within yourself. You have to get to a certain point, especially if you've gone through like what you went through, in order to start thinking of books and all the rest of it.
I think that's an amazing question. I'm going to answer the latter first. I think that I know of a fact that a lot of people are afraid to tell their stories because they feel that the world is going to judge them, or they're too embarrassed to tell their story. So although they would love to come forth and step out of the crowd and really strip themselves and become vulnerable, they're afraid. I used to feel like that about my own story in the last bit of when I got it written, and I'll tell you what I mean when I come to that. And I felt that the world was going to judge me. I felt that the world was going to embarrass my family and everybody. But you know what, Magda? I found the world didn't judge me. The world embraced me. I mean, I think I had a post on my Facebook page just yesterday where internationally I was in Madrid and women were hugging me and they were crying because they were healing from my story. I had women in Miami who came close and said, thank you so much. But that wasn't even touching. It was when I went to Jamaica and I did devotions or assemblies, as they're called here. And 15-year-old girls, and I say this and I feel really teary-eyed, 15-year-old girls hugged me and they cried because they too are going through that. And my story helped them to feel that they're not alone. So what I'd say to people who have stories that they've written or they have in their minds and they're afraid to write it is that you don't know who your story is meant to heal and help, and the world needs your story. So and your story doesn't have to be a book necessarily. We all have different ways of doing our story. Some people do music, some people do dancing. I chose to write, and that's how I express my story. And tonight we're going to keep it into writing because that's what we're talking about. But I say to you, if you've got your story and you're afraid to tell it, I'd be delighted to hold your hands. But don't be afraid. There's several people out there who can hold your hands and bring that story up because somebody is meant to be healed from your story. That's question one. The first question was, how did I get decided to write? Or what got me into writing? I never intended to be a writer. As a matter of fact, I wanted to be a barrister. And I grew up not knowing who my father was. And I was very quizzical. I had lots of questions. And I wanted to know who my father was. And my mom wouldn't tell me. The community was mocking, and I was curious. And I grew up in Jamaica, where you're seen and not heard. So when I was brave enough to approach my mom and ask her who was my dad, the beating she gave me shut me up. And I started to write little notes down and put them in carrier bags and hid them in various places. And I, in essence, I had a makeshift diary because I had so many questions. And as my experiences grew, my writing grew. And that's how I got into writing. It was not something that was intended. It was an accident. Well, there's no such thing as an accident, but you know what I mean? It wasn't something. I failed English in high school. Come on. I wasn't meant to be a writer, you know? Yes. That's how I started writing.
Wow. And so tell people your story, because we've been talking about the story. So what exactly is the story? Like I said, I know, but
my story,
to be able to relate so that people can
actually. You want to go there, girlfriend?
Okay. Yes, because the thing about it, we're talking about obviously the book aspect of things, but there has to be content for that book. So that's what I want to talk about, that content, and we move on.
My story is about my life. So as a child, I grew up in Jamaica in a very poor, impoverished background. Lived in a one-room shack, didn't know who my dad was, and grew up in a family where there was no role model, in a community where sex was a recreation. There was nothing else to do. And my stepfather lost his job as a 10-year-old child, I can remember. And as the eldest of the family, I went to look mangoes in the bushes in the village, as you would call them in Africa. And or in the UK here, just like how apple trees are around the, on the road. And my mom would dress the mangoes, and she would put me on a taxi and send me to the town. And I would sit on those pavements, those shop, we call them pazers in Jamaica, the shop front. And I would sell mangoes in the same area I should be going to school in. And that's a familiar situation in which I was born and grew up. And I missed a lot of school. Before long, my mom gave me away to my so-called stepmother, and my so-called dad sexually abused me. I ran away from home, went back to my mom, and my mom didn't take me because she felt that I was not telling the truth, or I just missed my siblings. And I want to pause right there and say to anybody who's listening that not everything that looks good is good. So my mom thought I was looking better, so she gave me away, and I ran home back to her and saying to her, things are not great. But because I looked better physically, I had nicer clothes, I was fatter, she didn't believe me. And so I ran away to an auntie, ended up living in my high school, sleeping on the desk, lived rough, got given away again to an uncle. And long story short, left school without master English, ended up in a relationship. I got married, had my daughter. That marriage broke down. And in transition there, I was sexually raped by gunmen in front of my daughter. Wow. And that nearly sent me into a nervous breakdown. Wow. And the story continued. I came to London because I was running away from my sanity. I needed to be sane. And so I came to London for sanity, really just for sanity, because I could not go into a car without feeling the gunman on the passenger seat with a gun onto me, and the gunman in the back with a gun onto my daughter. And for a while, I just couldn't cope. So I came.
3-year-old girl.
3-year-old.
A 3-year-old girl.
And they stroke her face and stroke her face. And they were gonna abuse her if she was 1 year older. God is faithful. And that's how I end up in London. And my story at the time was written in a book. So I had a little book like this, and I was handwriting everything down. By this time, it became a diary. And when I came to London, the vicissitude that met me had me thought somebody else. I had racism, I had discrimination. I came looking for gold and, you know, the roads paved with a different lifestyle. Because when I came here, my life in Jamaica was great. I wasn't poor anymore. I wasn't struggling anymore. But I came to a first world country and my quality of life was non-existent. And that's when I started thinking, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to take my story and I'm going to put it in a book format. And that's how I kind of got to that bridge.
So as you came into this country, and wow, first and foremost, but as you came into this country, what did you have family members here? How did you get from coming here to obviously run away from what's going on to then? Because obviously you mentioned that you were writing in them like a diary and something like that. Because I really want what I want from the listeners to really say, oh, she's. I don't want them to think that you're just glamorizing. Unfortunately, some people have some warped mindset. But I want us to really be real as much as you can, obviously. But as you came into this country, from everything that's happened to you, and especially part of your child, that's another story. But you come into this country now. Where did you transition from settling into a new country, a cold country, and then having to say, okay, I'm going to write a book? Did you know anybody? Did you know a publisher? Did you make any contact?
No, not at all. No. I had my diary, like I told you, in a book format, and we talk about 2002, 2000. So 2002, I came to the UK, and I came here as a teacher. So I was already trained back in Jamaica as a teacher. And so I came here on a teaching visa and I was teaching. And in that experience alone was a book on its own. So I was writing, and it's how I found to heal myself. Writing was how I healed. So it was cathartic. And so I kept writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And as I wrote, it just got bigger and bigger. And I thought, I experienced racism in my own house. So I bought a flat and my neighbors were racist. And so they didn't want any niggas up in there. And so for me, I got frustrated because I was coming from Jamaica where my color, black, was accepted. And then I came into this and I was just shocked because nobody prepared me for this. And so I started writing, and it was more anger. I was angry, and I was angry from what happened in Jamaica. And then I came to this roadblock, and I was just angry. So I started just vomiting on paper. Really, I put everything down. It was escape. It was my escape. It was my therapy. And I kept writing, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And I've been writing for years now. And then 2014. I approached several publishers who turned my story down, by the way. I must tell you guys, don't be afraid. As a matter of fact, today I got an invitation from a book awarding body telling me that I must send this email to my publisher to enter my book for a prize.
Wow. I've been turned you down before.
Oh, I've been turned down so many times. So I was turned down about 10 times. And I started editing the books. I started with my American editor, not having a publisher or anybody, just believing, because that's me, the power of the mind. And in 2014, because I've not been published for many years, don't get that wrong, it's only a year. 2014, I was doing my master's degree and my second master's, that's another story. And I went to Norway to work, and I did not do an assignment, and my university rang me up and said, you have to submit something. So I wrote about my story. It's the only thing I know to write about. It was easy. I was being lazy. And when I came back from Norway, I got an invitation to go to Coventry, and I thought I failed. And when I went to Coventry, they just wanted to verify that what I wrote was true, because when you heard my story, your mouth was wide open, just like them, right? Their mouth was like, really? Are you sure? And I said, yes. And they said, okay, we would love to do a case study on you. Now I'm a black girl, I hear case study, I think, not so sure. Long story short, they did a case study on me. I was overlooked for a promotion at work. And as a Christian, I've come to learn that every disappointment is God's appointment. Because being overlooked for promotion, as I walked out of that meeting, I got an email from the Financial Times, and they saw my case study, and they wanted to interview me.
Wow.
By this time, my book had just finished editing 2 weeks before. And my editor said, "You've been trying to find a publisher, go and try them again." And I went to the publishers with the Financial Times article, and the number of offers I had was crazy. They now wanted the same story they refused 6 months ago, 6 years ago.
Yes. Yes. Wow. So it has to take someone that is determined, someone that is driven to, even though all these things that happen to you at various times in your life that would have been enough to just pull you down, because you've gone through rape at several times from people who are supposed to protect you, are the ones who are defiling you. You went through homelessness and all manner of things that's enough for someone to just get, you know what, forget this. You understand? But you continued, and then you came to a strange country. You bought a house saying, oh yes, you got a home for yourself and your daughter, only for your neighbors to be telling you, oh, we don't want you there. But you still kept on pushing because you believed in that power of that book. And that is I guess for me, that is the main thing I wanted to drive across to the listeners who are listening, that regardless of whatever story, whether it's similar to totally different, be determined, never give up. No. Because for me, one thing I would like to say as a musician, I'd always say there's nothing original in a sense of music. When you create, you're always mashing up this music and that music together to just kind of put things together to say you create something. But so regardless of the story, it's something that somebody has gone through before. But the main thing is it's your story. Someone needs to hear it. Yes. Wow. Okay. Moving from that issue now, you've written the book. And you're having the Financial Times, you're having people coming to you. You just mentioned the Real, you're having conversations with people from the Real, from America, which is fantastic. Coming back to obviously the topic of what we're talking about today. How have you been able to go from the Financial Times? Did you find that, okay, let me rephrase that question. Was it when you got the opening with the Financial Times that they kind of interviewed you and talked to you and people started to see who you are, hear about you, that other doors began to open? Or was it even after that episode with the Financial Times, you still had to keep chasing and knocking down doors?
No, don't get it wrong. The Financial Times doesn't mean you've made it at all, because when the FT featured me, my book wasn't out yet. Remember, then the book came out. It's not going to land on your lap. You know this. You're in this business. There are things and tricks and things you have to do very quickly that I had to do myself, and do a lot for you, or they do within a particular parameter. But on my own, I had to make sure that I had presence and that my book was going to do well. So there are lots of things that I had to do for myself, and I learned along the way. And, I'm quite happy to share quite a few tips with people tonight, because I think that there are some simple things that people have to learn to help get their books out there. And I have authors who I coach now who have written books longer than I have, even before I existed. And they're coming to me to say, how did you do this? How did you do this? And that's because I learned a few little tricks along the way. So I'm going to give away 5 good tips and probably a few bonuses. The first tip I'd say to people is know who you're writing for. I have a book upstairs in my cupboard, and the author wrote the book, and she had no clue who she was writing for. She just put something together, and come on, we know a book is a business card. Everybody has it's a fashion item these days. It's so fashionable. And so media gets press releases every day. So what is going to be there that's going to make Magdalena's book stand out to them, Ava's press release stand out to them? So the first thing I'd say to you is write something that know who you're writing for. Okay, it's so important. And then write something interesting. Don't go and write a bio if if you really don't think the story, I'm not saying stories are not important, because my story is not your story, but understand what people are looking for in a bio. So if you're better at writing about math or English or something else or spirituality, don't go down the chic route of bio, because that's what everybody is writing. So write something that is you're good at, something that's topical. Get a good cover. There's no such, get a good cover for your book. It's a no-brainer. These are no-brainer samples, no-brainer things. Number 5, start local. I had a local press in my house, in my home, interviewing me. Yeah? Get local press. Start local. Find out, get your yellow pages out, your internet out, and find the local press. Local communities, especially London, love to have people local doing great things. So find local places and use them to your advantage while giving something back. Get involved in community activities. Volunteer. You don't need to go out there and carry your book and start flagging it everywhere. Hello, I've written a book, I've written a book. You don't need to do that. Because by doing certain things strategically, with meaning, of course, people are going to see you and they're going to want to interview you. Be nice. Be cordial. Sure. It is so important to be cordial and respectful and genuine. People might say, yeah, it takes you a far way. Get on the phone to the Evening Standard or wherever and be nice, be cordial. But most importantly, be persistent. Do you know how long it took for me to get the voice to do my story?
Wow.
You have to keep calling. You have to write down names of who you talk to. You have to be sensible. Social media is there for the taking. If they don't want to talk to you privately, you put them in a public tweet. Hello.
You put them down. That's it.
You will have them down.
I'm telling you.
You do. And 2 more tips. And because I've got 2 more tips to say to you, is that nowadays blogging is such an amazing thing. And I would say to you, if you're not a great blogger, become friends on Instagram with somebody who blogs. Find a good blogger somewhere. Find an affiliate for your book. Those are some simple yet very meaningful things that a lot of people don't know. You know, find an affiliate program to get your book sold in, and review. Get people to review your book. You should see how I chase my reviews. Go onto Amazon and look at my book. I have 5-star all the way. I chase my reviews because
hello. Technology. You just gotta love it.
Good read. I'll be seen in oh dear. Oh, what a day. What a day. What a day. What a day. Hello. Magda. I know, right? I know. Hello. So we were talking about I'm giving you some tips about the book. So, you know, social media is great. Find a good blogger, have an affiliate program. Don't be afraid to contact your local libraries and, you know, ask them for an opportunity to come and read your book. Libraries are always happy to have great stories and local authors around. Have a book launch. What's the point in writing a book and not having a book launch? There's absolutely no point to have a book and not have a book launch. So have a book launch and use that book launch to invite people, invite the press. It's so fundamental that we do those things, that the press and hang out with you. I am trying to get Magda on, and for some reason we are not connecting. I don't know why. And it looks like we've gone back to where we started the first time. And it's a real shame because I'd love Magda to finish interviewing me. So tonight I have got an offer for you. And it is basically, I have 40 steps to help you to magnetize the media. It's also going to help you to get more publicity for your book, and not just publicity locally, but publicity globally. These are things I have used, and I am quite happy to share them with you. It's normally $49.99 for it, and tonight I'm sharing it for only $19.97. That's £19.97. There is a link for it. Magna is not here to help me out here, but it's 40 tips. I have put together 40 tips for you, 40 tips that I have used to magnetize the media, to get me into the Guardian, to get me into the Voice, to get me to be flown abroad for television interview, to get me to be flown abroad to speak at events. My book has opened acting opportunities. I now act with mainstream actors from EastEnders, and I've acted with people from Holby City and Nollywood. I mean, some of the biggest names in Nollywood. I've acted with quite a few of them. And there are movie opportunities on the table this year. I have worked with some amazing names and lined up to do some amazing things this year, some of which I can't yet say because, things are not yet, out in the public domain. So I have to keep that quite closed. But I'm quite happy and ready to share that with you. So that's 40 tips to help you magnetize the media this year, to raise your impact and your income and your influence. When you write a book, you become a thought leader. When you write a book, you become somebody who gets speaking opportunities. When you write a book, you become somebody who you're the go-to person. There is so much that happens from writing a book. And I would encourage you tonight, it's only $19.97. Take up that offer if you want to, or if you wanted to work with me on a one-on-one basis to find out how I can help and support you on your book, then my email is info@Ava-brown-author. My concierge will be quick to respond to you and schedule an appointment with you once you go through the tier of the processing and the layers of the business structure and how things operate. And I'd be very delighted to speak with you. And I also hope that if you choose to take the 40 tips, that you share with us the 5 tips that you've been able to implement quickly and the feedback you have. There are open seats if anybody has any questions for me, because somehow I'm not getting Magda at all. And there she is. Awesome. Hello. Hello, I'm hearing you. Magda, I'm hearing you. Hello.
Can you see me?
I can. This is crazy, right? That's okay. We're here. We're rolling.
Hello.
I'm hearing you.
Can you see me?
Yes. Yes, I can.
I'm not here.
Oh, can't you?
I can't.
Oh no, I can hear you. Yes. Oh no! Oh, I can't hear you. So fire away. I can hear you. Can you hear me? No? Oh, this is interesting, isn't it? So, bear with us, guys. I'm telling you. I can't see that mess that went to Facebook. I'm here. I can hear you too. I can hear you. I can hear you, Magda. Let's wrap it up. Where are you at? Okay, I'm confused. So Magda, okay, let's wrap this up because Magda can't hear me. I'm really sorry about this. So let's wrap this up. So Magda can't hear me for some reason. I want to thank her for doing this with me tonight. And just in case you've missed the product, it's 40 tips that I have put together myself, that I have used myself to be featured in the Financial Times, The Guardian, The Voice, Television Jamaica. I've been nominated BEFTA Awards. I've won Inspirational Woman of the Year. I've been recognized just in last month as Motivation Woman of the Year. All these things came about because I did my book. So that can be you too. And I'm saying to you, if you want to work with me, I'd be happy to serve you as your book coach or your transformation coach. And I'd love to hold your hand to help you tell your story, because you don't have to be embarrassed about telling your story. It's Ava Brown saying, I'm so glad you joined me tonight. And remember, check out my book, Bamboo and Fern, which I'll put the link in here now, at Amazon. It's doing amazingly well. Okay. And a great book as well.
I don't know what. I have no idea. But this conversation is so great. We need to have more of it.
Okay, great. So awesome.
I will have you on.
Okay.
On radio.
Awesome.
On the 15th.
Awesome. 15th. Great stuff. Speak to you later.
I will put out information on social media and on our website, which is music-radio.com. So do listen out for that. It was fantastic. It's going on so well. Like Ava says, we are blessed. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on. But until next time.
Awesome. See you later. Bye-bye.
And you would hear me on air through the radio. So have a good day. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. It's Ava Brown saying it's my pleasure to have been here tonight. And I will speak to you again soon. Night, night. You can follow me on Twitter. It's at Ava-brown-24 or www.avabrown.org. Do let me know how I can serve you. Peace.